The courseware was designed as a blended one and intended to address 5 dimensions of flexibility according to Collins and Morning 2002. It consists of wiki spaces, platform for asynchronous component, and viewer for synchronous work. Besides, microblogging, Twitter, and email were used to sustain communication in case somebody preferred this means. As the course outcome, there were 2 ways of assessment used. Learners' writing collected, marked, and corrected and improved in their personal wiki space. A formative test in one of synchronous lessons at the end of the term. Although the group in question share the idea that English is best acquired through interaction, the survey conducted in the middle of the term revealed that the group tended to split up into 2 nearly equal subgroups, and further I'll be referring to them as Group 1 and Group 2. So Group 1 enjoyed a synchronous component and participated more actively in individual rather than interactive tasks. Group 2 participated more actively in discussion space, synchronous lessons, but tended to ignore synchronous work, for example, writing tasks. Considering the learner central to my design thinking, I thought it was time to reassess the courseware in order to make some adjustments. My main objective was how to cater both learning preferences, but at the same time not to split the group as if they would be going by parallel paths throughout the course, and try to save the group as a community of practice, as Lund 2008 called it. Alongside at all, in line with Lund, Side, Pelef, and Pratt, who suggest learning community as an online learning vehicle, and state that in order to form such a community, there should be the following. Needless to say that some of these activities come naturally by default in a face-to-face classroom, but need special consideration in online learning. In my case, taking into account learning preferences of the first subgroup. In particular, Mayes and De Vries have drawn together the main perspectives to view on learning, and they call them associative, cognitive, and situated. And each of these views implies a set of pedagogical approaches. For example, the associationist perspective emphasizes behavioral change, expressed through goals, progressive sequences, and accurate reproduction or performance, like drills. The cognitive view has many different pedagogical manifestations, ranging from co-instruction with learners, knowledge construction through active participation, social construction of knowledge through group work, to applied problem-based learning. The situated view encompasses apprenticeship, coaching, and learning from the real-world settings. For example, taking into account 4 assumptions about language and second language acquisition, I mentioned in page 2, I'd say that the third, namely situated view, I'll adopt as a basic. And after Diane Larson Freeman and Lynn Cameron, who state that their view on language, emergent view, that language is the way it is because of the way it has been used. And although all 3 of these views are not mutually exclusive, each implies a different set of priorities for learning and teaching practice. Joint Information Systems Committee article offers the following set for situated view. And for example, in terms of assessment, I think I'll blend it with the cognitive view priorities, as my first group prefers individual work rather than the group work. the following diagram helps me design my online lessons. I've made it using Roger's work, my Delta tutor ideas, and Scott Thornberry's ideas. As you may see that in the heyday of the communicative approach, there was a tendency to focus more on the left side of the graphs. Each of these positions has its shortcomings. As, for example, if learners get all the language in context, they can get infection, and if they get it in a completely decontextualized work, they get just injections, but not the language as a whole. And the obvious way to avoid these shortcomings is to fluctuate between, and I'm going to demonstrate this in one chain of lessons I have designed for my students, where main focus is on phrasal verbs. Back to my needs of my group, I would like to add that different mediums set up different dynamics, and my task as a teacher is to coax and nudge the individual to use a variety of them rather than follow the student's preferable synchronous or asynchronous mode. For instance, my first subgroup prefers self-paced learning, which, as Alonso et al. State about this, that the value of self-paced learning is not only that it can reach everyone at any time and anywhere, but that it can teach the learner appropriately, providing the right skills at the right time. And then asynchronous mode requires learners to work autonomously, whereas synchronous e-learning assumes that the teacher takes a directive role. The latter is not always the case, but I think one of the reasons why my students from the second subgroup prefer synchronous communication is that they seek more guidance and encouragement and tend to be more dependent on me. Broadband proposes this table listing factors to consider when choosing synchronous and asynchronous communication in 2002 work. Some of the factors are not important for me, such as, for example, where and how many. As we all live in the same time zone and the number of students is fixed. But the others inform my decisions how to combine and balance different mediums, as well as how to evaluate the role of asynchronous and synchronous tools in the courseware. So now I'm going to